Before memory wore a name, fire was a gift, an ember cradled from the breath of the sky stag and set among people so the night would not swallow them whole. On wind-bent plains beneath a thin aurora, the tribe guarded that ember in a stone bowl, like tomorrow. Then, when dusk had grown careless and the camp had grown tired, a shadow moved, a hand reached, and the ember vanished. The light went out as if a heartbeat had paused in the world. Cold stitched itself through the camp. Breath turned to ghosts. Children pressed close, elders drew cloaks tight, and the circle of stones stood black and empty where warmth should live. Fear spoke in silence, saying what no one wanted to say. Without the ember, dawn feels farther away. At first light, the tribe gathered beneath giant standing stones, their faces raw with worry. 2 youths stepped forward to take the promise, a huntress with a will like flint and a quiet star reader whose eyes measured distance like constellations. They laid their palms against the old carvings and swore to follow the skyline to the Black Hills, to bring the ember home, or, if the world demanded it, to bring back the dawn another way. Unseen in the ripple of grass, a rival tracker weighed their courage and marked their path. Mist clung to a marsh where reeds hissed like old stories. The ground trembled and gave way without warning. Root islands rose like stepping stones, only if the wind approved. On the skin of the water, pale hoofprints glowed as though light itself had crossed before them, pointing east and deeper into doubt. Tall grass bowed to the passage of a silent pride. Gold eyes hovered at the edge of the day. The huntress steadied, while the star reader scattered a pinch of sunleaf, a powder that drifted in small constellations at their feet. The lions blinked at the glow, measured caution as wisdom, and melted back into the grass. In this country, not all victories demanded a cut. Black basalt ridges rose like teeth, and the air tasted of old thunder. In the ash, the trail confessed itself, flakes of char that did not belong to any random burn, and near them, a boot print, human, but not alone. A torn sash snapped in the wind. Far off, a horn sounded, part warning, part pride. The path to the Black Hills was no longer only a pursuit, but a crossing toward judgment. A gorge cleaved the world. Fossil ribs arched into a natural bridge, bones spanning a depth that had forgotten the bottom. Halfway across, a rival stepped from shadow, the tracker who had followed, claiming that fire should belong to the strong. The ground answered first. Stone shuddered, dust fell like gray rain, and the spine of the bridge groaned. A rope flew from hand to hand. No one fell. For the moment, survival was the only power worth holding. They made a fragile spark from flint and patience, coaxing a thread of warmth into a small circle of night. Above them, twin moons climbed, one pale and watchful, one bruised and low. On stretched hide, they marked the constellations, translating stars into a path on Earth. Somewhere ahead, the stolen ember moved within a world that did not want to be found. A field of standing stones crowded like trees, each one a trunk of silence. The air threw back every footstep as an echo that wasn't theirs. Fear rose like a second voice. Then the carvings revealed themselves, the sky stag etched with antlers of radiance, pointing north. forest of stone where echoes lied. The old signs still told the truth. A frigid river cut the valley, its edges set with obsidian teeth. They hauled a fallen trunk to bridge the bight. On the far bank, the rivals stood and demanded the path in return for safe passage. The river decided again. Ice gave way. The current seized him. His strength and a hooked hand tore him back to shore. He did not cross. The river had made the only argument necessary. In a bog of cold breath and mud, an old mammoth sagged under years and weight. Time pressed, yet compassion arrived first. With rope and lever, with patience and rhythm, they heaved the giant clear. The animal knelt as if gratitude had its own language, and on its hide lay a smear of charcoal. The trail of the ember brushed against living history. Debt was paid on both sides. The path grew warmer. Thunder marched over the black hills. Rain struck like thrown nails. Lightning traced antlers on the ridgeline, as if the shape in the sky remembered the world below. In that trembling light, a cave mouth exhaled a faint and steady warmth. Toward shelter, toward origin, they climbed into the storm's teeth. Ochre suns ran along the walls. Stags leapt across the stone as if dawn had once been hunted and caught. At the center stood a bone cage, and within it the ember, burning as if it had been waiting to be found. Footsteps scraped. The rivals stepped forward, bruised by the road and by a winter that had taken more than it should. He wanted fire for his own, not out of greed, but out of memory. Children who had shivered too long. In this chamber, the air held an older verdict. Wind hushed as if the cave had placed a hand on its own heart. Light gathered and took on a shape that bodies remembered before minds could name it. A stag woven of aurora and constellations. Antlers branching into the night beyond the stone. The bone cage unlatched without touch. The ember rose, brightened, and divided into 3 living sparks that hovered above 3 travelers. Fire, said the moment, is not possession, it is promise. Visions struck like weather. A winter wolf stood over frightened children. The choice was to shield rather than strike. Stars shifted above a lone figure. The choice was truth over pride. A rival child reached out empty-handed. The choice was share, not hoard. When the world returned, the sparks settled into open palms without burning. Warmth recognized its keepers. The storm unraveled. Light spilled through torn cloud, softening the edges of every stone. 3 travelers stepped from the cave, each carrying a portion of tomorrow in a shallow bowl of rock. 1 spark for the home that had suffered, 1 for the home that had rivaled, and 1 for those not yet born, whose faces already existed in hope. Back at the standing stones, tinder accepted flame like a promise fulfilled. Warmth poured across faces, drawing out tears and laughter with equal ease. Across the valley, a second bowl bloomed into brightness, an answering light where suspicion had slept. 2 fires regarded each other like kin who had spent too long apart. Morning walked on golden feet. Thin spirals of smoke braided the sky. For a heartbeat at the edge of the sun, Antlers of light crossed like a blessing, leaving a mark no wind could erase. Two youths lifted their hands, not to claim the day, but to meet it halfway. On ground the volcano had scarred, two clans faced each other with caution and respect. Between them, bowls glowed. The words were simple and heavy. Keep the children warm first. A spark passed from hand to hand, and suspicion cooled 1 degree at a time. Peace is not a single act. It is a series of steady hands. Snow moved through the dark like a soft thought. At the edge of firelight, a pale wolf watched the camp breathe. The huntress lowered her spear, and the animal weighed this unfamiliar answer. It turned and walked back into falling white. Not every shadow must end in teeth. By day, they raised small cairns across the valley, stone markers with shallow bowls, a road of flame for travelers. Children carried coals like bright seeds. Elders set stones. The star reader carved the sky into rock, so those who wandered would not lose the way. Work became ritual. Ritual became future. At midday, the light faltered. The ground patterned itself in crescents. Fear fluttered through the crowd like birds that had lost their tree. An elder lifted a bowl, and the flame did not waver. Hearts steadied with it. Even the sky may change its face, the promise beneath it holds. Days dimmed at the edges as a distant plume smeared the horizon. Ash sifted over fields like a tired snow. People moved slower, voices thinned, and color withdrew from leaves and faces. Yet the bowls along the fire road glowed like punctuation in a long sentence of gray, reminding everyone how stories are carried through difficult chapters. The old mammoth returned, sure of foot, and led the travelers to a ravine where the earth breathed warmth. Steam folded around obsidian walls. Frost receded from fingers held over vents. Here, they learned to nurse heat from the bones of the world, setting stone hearths so the valley could keep breath even when the sun forgot.